4K friends. Today is Wednesday. Wednesday? It's December 2nd, number 2, the second day of the month. I wanted to show you that we have birthdays in December in our classroom. Here's December. Bryson's birthday is December 4th. That's this Friday. Nora's birthday is next Monday, December 7th. Raylan's birthday is coming up on December 19th. And Brooklyn's birthday is December 28th, right after Christmas. So we'll be adding some stickers onto our calendar this month, won't we? 4 birthdays in December. All right, today I want to share another fairy tale with you, and it's a story that you've probably heard before. It's Little Red Riding Hood. And this version is retold and illustrated by James Marshall. He's an author that's written many, many books, and he really enjoys writing down fairy tales. And he has kind of fun, she has kind of a fun, silly face. He has some really, really nice pictures in his books. So Red Riding Hood is the name of our story. And we're going to be listening to see who the characters are in our book and where the story is, the setting, and what happens at the beginning and in the middle and at the end of the story. A long time ago, oh, that sounds like a beginning, doesn't it? A long time ago, in a simple cottage beside the deep, dark woods, there lived a pretty child called Red Riding Hood. She was kind and considerate, and everybody loved her. So here's a character. It's Red Riding Hood. One afternoon, Red Riding Hood's mother called to her. "Granny isn't feeling well today, so I baked her favorite custard as a little surprise. Be a good girl and take it to her, will you?" Red Riding Hood was delighted. She loved going to Granny's, even though it meant crossing the deep, dark woods. So I see another character. It's Red Riding Hood's mother. And where are they? They're at their house, aren't they? In the kitchen? When the custard had cooled, Red Riding Hood's mother wrapped it up and put it in a blanket. "Now, whatever you do," she said, "go straight to Granny's. Do not tarry and do not speak to any strangers." "Yes, Mama," said Little Red Riding Hood. Before long, she was in the deepest part of the woods. "Ooh," she said, "this is scary." Oh, where is Little Red Riding Hood now? She's in the woods. That's the setting of the story. That's the where. And do you see who's peeking out behind the tree? Suddenly, a large wolf appeared. "Good afternoon, my dear," he said. "Care to stop for a little chat?" "Oh, gracious me," said Red Riding Hood. "Mama said not to speak to any strangers." We have another character now, don't we? So we have Little Red Riding Hood and her mother and the wolf. But the wolf had such charming manners. "And where are you going, sweet thing?" he said. "I'm on my way to visit Granny, who lives in the pretty yellow house on the other side of the woods," said Red Riding Hood. "She's feeling poorly, and I'm taking her a surprise." "You don't say," said the wolf. Just then he had a delightful idea. "No reason why I can't eat them both," he thought. "Allow me to escort you," he said. "You never know what might be lurking about." "Oh, you're too kind," said Red Riding Hood. Beyond the forest, they came to a patch of sunflowers. "Why not pick a few?" suggested the wolf. "Grannies love flowers, you know." But while Red Riding Hood was picking a pretty bouquet, the clever wolf hurried on ahead to Granny's house. Uh-oh. I sense some problems are starting. This is the middle of the book, isn't it? There's going to be problems. The wolf is getting ahead of Red Riding Hood. And there he is. "Who is it?" called out Granny. "It is I, your delicious, darling granddaughter," said the wolf in a high voice. "The door is unlocked," said Granny. The wolf is pretending to be Red Riding Hood. "Surprise!" cried the wolf. Granny was furious at having her reading interrupted. "Get out of here, you horrid thing!" she cried. There's another character, isn't there? the grandmother. But the wolf gobbled her right up. He didn't even bother to chew.
"Tasty," he said, patting his belly. "So tasty."
Just then he heard footsteps on the garden path.
"Here comes dessert."
And losing no time, he put on Granny's cap and glasses, jumped in bed, and pulled up the covers. His tail sticking out. "Who is it?" he called out in his sweetest granny voice. "It is I, your little granddaughter," said Red Riding Hood. "The door is unlocked," said the wolf. Red Riding Hood was distressed at seeing her grandmother so changed. "Why, Granny," she said, "what big eyes you have!" "The better to see you, my dear," said the wolf. "And Granny, what long arms you have!" "The better to hug you, my dear," said the wolf. "And Granny, what big teeth you have!"
"The better to eat you, my dear," cried the wolf.
"Oh no, oh no," and he gobbled her right up.
"I'm so wicked," he said. "So wicked. Look at his big fat tummy."
But he was really enormously pleased with himself, and having enjoyed such a heavy meal, he was soon snoring away. A hunter passing by was alarmed by the frightful racket.
"That doesn't sound like Granny," he said.
"Oh, it's another character, isn't it? The hunter?" And so the brave hunter jumped in the window, killed the sleeping wolf, and cut him open. Out jumped Granny and Red Riding Hood. "We're ever so grateful," said Red Riding Hood.
"That wicked wolf won't trouble you again," said the hunter.
"It was so dark in there I couldn't read a word," said Granny. Red Riding Hood promised never, ever to speak to another stranger, charming manners or not. And she never did. Look, a crocodile's trying to talk to her, and she's going, "Nope, not going to talk to you. You're a stranger." That is the end of Little Red Riding Hood. So the characters in our book today were Little Red Riding Hood, and who else? Her granny, and that wolf, and the hunter, and Red Riding Hood's mom was at the beginning of the story. And the setting was in the woods, and also at Granny's house, and a little bit at Red Riding Hood's house too. So what happened at the beginning of this story? Let's think. The beginning is like the once upon a time part. At the beginning, Little Red Riding Hood's mom asked her to do something. What did she ask her to do? She's going to take something to her granny? Yeah, take her some treats because Granny's not feeling well. And then in the middle of the story, the problems start, don't they? Little Red met someone in the woods. She met the wolf. And he followed her, and he snuck ahead of her and got to Granny's house. And then he pretended to be Little Red so he could get in and eat the granny. And then he pretended to be the granny so Little Red would come in. And she noticed his teeth were big, and his arms were long, and his eyes were big. It's not Granny. And then the wolf ate Little Red Riding Hood. At the end of the story, who came along to save them? The hunter. And the hunter killed the wolf, and Granny and Little Red jumped out of his belly. And Little Red Riding Hood did not talk to strangers ever again, did she? Yeah, beginning, middle, and end. So today, for the rest of our work, I have a video that I'm going to send you of another version of Little Red Riding Hood. It's called Ninja Red Riding Hood. Can I show you the front cover? Here she is. Ooh, she's a ninja. Do you think she'll get away from that wolf? You'll have to watch and find out. We're also going to practice our letter of the week, letter O. Can you get your magic pencil out? We're going to make an O in the air. It goes from the top, right? Where do you start your letters? At the top. Ready? We're going to go O like a C and then keep going right back up to the top. So today I want you to practice making some O's. You can make out of string. You could make O out of a pipe cleaner like this, if you have one of those, or a piece of ribbon, or I have some Twizzler pull-and peels, those really skinny ones. If you got something like that, you could use that. You could use a cooked noodle, like a spaghetti noodle. Anything that's long and that you can bend. And I want you to make sure, because O is pretty easy, right? I want you to make sure that your O starts and ends at the top. You ready? Oh, and then trace it with your finger. Oh, oh, I can make my mouth look like an O. Oh. Is it an O if I start over here? It still looks like an O, but I didn't start at the top, right? So I want you to really practice starting and ending your O at the top, since it's a pretty easy one to write. And then you can, let's see, you practiced writing O yesterday. Oh, I'm going to send you a math game. I'm going to send you a link to some pattern blocks. Those are the little shape pieces that we like to use in the classroom, but it's online. So you can use them on a computer or on a tablet, and you can make pictures of whatever you want or designs with those pattern blocks and just kind of have fun with those for your math today. All right? And then I'll see you again for wordplay. Have a great day learning and playing.